Want to support the Shuffle Squad? Be sure to check out all of our sponsors in the description to pick up Pokemon TCG singles, sealed, and PTCG live codes.
How's it going, everybody? It's PJ here from the Shuffle Squad, and I have a very special guest joining me for this meta discussion about Peoria Regionals coming up very soon within the week. We're all really excited for it because Pokemon Scarlet and Violet 151 is finally legal for a big tournament, so we're super happy to see all of these new cards come out and what they can do. Is it going to change the meta? We're going to find out all of that here on the meta forecast. I do want to apologize for my voice. I am feeling a little under the weather. I was feeling way worse earlier in the week, but here we are now, and we've made it here, so I'm still going to follow through on what I said I was going to do and give you guys this awesome meta forecast here with my special guest. And Dre, introduce yourself here on the Shuffle Squad's channel.
Yeah, definitely. What's up, everybody? King Dre Clout, aka Dreoxys. Everybody likes to know me, or just simply Dre. Whatever you want to go with, I take all of them. Yeah, one of the newer members of the Shuffle Squad. It's been a couple months now, though. I think I've got a little
You've
bit
been out there representing.
You know, I got a top 16 and a top 32 since being on the squad.
We're a good luck charm. That's all.
Yeah, we're doing a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, just doing my thing lately. Hopefully we can do that into Peoria too.
That's right. And that's all we can do, right? We got to keep on chugging all the way through the end of the season. You know, you went to Worlds last season, so we're going to make you go to Worlds this season. So all of you viewers here and listeners will hopefully also have the play to make it big in Peoria here, and that's what we're going to talk about right now. So let's talk about some of the tournaments leading up to this regionals here in Peoria, Illinois. We had that regional in Brazil that had a lot of Charizard. I know you and I had talked previously while we were in Pittsburgh that Charizard was just a terrible deck, and it looks like a couple of people had cracked the code into making Charizard good again. So what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, it was like the best players in Latam that was playing the deck too. So like that was like, like you got a group of some of the best minds in the game. They built a cracked list, took it, and I mean the meta also just seemed to be. I don't want to overreact personally, because the list is good, the list is hot. I like it. Played by some of the best players, but I also think the meta kind of was like open for it. There wasn't too much Tina around, you know. And that's kind of like one of the main decks that was kind of gatekeeping it for OBF. Was like all the Tina hype from the beginning. So I think that's what kind of like gate kept it in Pit from doing too well too. Was just like tons of Tina. And after Tina not doing well, it kind of dropped. Zard stonks go up. We get 5 in top 8.
Yeah, I mean, Giratina was a deck that I loved. I went into that tournament wanting to play. I did play it. It didn't do so well. Turns out when you don't draw Colress or Comfeys, the deck really just doesn't work. But I didn't hit a single Charizard. I really wanted to hit Charizard with Lost Zone Tina because I feel like that's at least a 60-40 for Tina, where you just blow something up. You hit the Control-Alt-Delete button, and then you just sprinkle some damage somewhere else, and you're fine. So the matchup, I saw Tina in the top cut there, so we see that Tina can still perform, but I think this build is very fast and aggressive. You know, not utilizing the Lost Zone engine, you're just using Pidgeot to find those cards, and it really did come together, and that's what we saw here. I will say I've played that deck quite a bit since that regional event happened, and it does take a terrible matchup to Chen Pao of all things. So other than that, I did switch. Currently, I just got back from my challenge, which was the same format prior to 151 being legal, and I played Lost Zone Charizard, and that deck felt honestly a lot better playing into the broad spectrum of the meta. And I did sauce up.
Good.
Oh yeah, Sableye is really good. Sauced up some Chen Pao with that deck, so that was really nice. But what other decks are we seeing? Like right leading up to it, I feel like Mew is kind of falling off with Charizard being so good. And Lugia was also on a really big uptick, and I think that that's why Charizard was able to thrive because we had like Miraidon and we had Lugia, and both of those decks were really solid, really good tier 1 decks based on the meta spread that we had. Gardevoir's taking a back seat really here, and I think that with Lugia cutting Cobalion, that gave Charizard kind of the path to
Yeah.
greatness here for this tournament.
Most definitely. I think it was a perfect storm for the Zard for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, you can't discount, like I said, like it was top tier players playing the deck too.
Right, right.
Like when you put all that together, best players, strong deck, cracked list,
Yeah,
great meta for it, all together, just boom. That's why we end up with 5 in the top 8. I think if there was a
that's right.
few more like Tina's being played in the meta, maybe we have more of a
Yeah,
balance. Like maybe we have
right.
3 Zards and like 2 Tinas. And if you have more Tinas, Lost Box has a little bit more favorable matchup of those. We might have more Lost Box. So it was just a perfect storm to have just
Sure.
that big of an in your face finish by Charizard, I think.
Absolutely. And I do think that Tina wasn't played because it didn't see a lot of Pittsburgh finishes, and it
No.
hasn't really seen many finishes in some time, and that's sad to me as the Tina lover. But sometimes it's just not the best call. It's a little bit slower of a deck. Takes a little
Yeah.
bit more effort to get what you want going. It's not like a regular Lost Zone box, but it does take some really, really awesome matchup spreads that they're favored into. So, enough about old format. Let's talk about new stuff. We got the 151 set legal for Peoria. So, Dre, talk to me about some of the cards you're hyped on seeing.
I mean, Mew EX, obviously, best card.
Yeah.
No doubt. If anyone says anything else,
Mm.
they're lying. Mew EX is the best card in this set. I've been testing a lot of just everything with Mew EX splashed
Mhm.
in,
Right.
colorless Lugia, Mew EX splashed in there,
Right.
Lost Box, Mew EX splashed. Anything that's advancing energy, I want to see how it runs. In Miraidon, it's really cracked. Like
Yeah.
it's pretty insane the plays you can get off with it. Copying Moonlight Shuriken against Lost Boxes that don't put their mana fees down,
Yeah.
getting to one shot of T-Tar, getting to one shot of Charizard with its own burning darkness. Like it's just an insane card. I mean, I actually had such a in one of my testing sessions with one of my students, we literally both bricked in a mirror for Lost Box, and I got to 7, was able to copy Mew EX to spit innocently to win the game. I
That's
never
fantastic.
thought that'd be something I would do.
Yeah. Honestly, I think that Mew EX splashed into the Lost Zone box is really, really good because you can, well, if you play boss, right? You play one boss, you could spit, or you could either do spit innocently, you could boss something up and lost mine with it as long as you Mirage Gate. You can use your own Moonlight Shuriken and then boss their Greninja up and Moonlight Shuriken again. It's really just absolutely nutty what you could do with this card. So I think that that's really good. Honestly, the best card of the whole set. There are some other cool cards that I saw come out of this set. We had that grabber arm. That was one of
Yes.
the cards that are out there. So that thing's pretty cool. I would love to see that in some decks. But we won't get too far into what cards we're going to see. Let's talk about what decks that we're going to see. So, with all these being played, we had the late night events that took place. There's a couple of online tournament results circulating. So, Dre, talk to me about the top 3 decks and why you think they're going to be the most played decks. And not even necessarily the top 3 decks, but the most played decks at this regional.
Yeah, I mean, I initially just think colorless Lugia will be number 1, if not number
Mm-hmm.
2. Like it's
Yeah.
it's consistent. It has a good Lost Box matchup because the Snorlaxes,
Mm-hmm.
they can't be Sableye picked on. You have so much consistency with the different colorless energy you can use. The Mew EX can copy stuff. You have the Weird Ear that can just blow anything up. It just has so much flexibility, whereas the old Lugia is like you have like one single line path, and it kind of can get boring. I find
Yeah.
myself with colorless Lugia, I can be a little bit more creative with my plays. I have more outs in games. It's just the flexibility of that is like what's really intriguing. And we've had colorless in the previous format. It just New EX is kind of what helps take it over that.
Right.
That little threshold. It needed that extra attacker that can give it more depth and having the flexibility to copy anything once again. I mean, we're going to backtrack on MUEX this entire
Oh
time.
yeah.
51 is going to be MUEX. So,
Having
we
multiple
love,
boss in the deck too is really
yeah.
helpful to have MUEX.
Yeah, I mean, quad boss, you have to play quad boss. You have to. There's no way you don't. Because you need to have max outs to that to try and get the game. And then I think the second most played deck will probably be. I'm torn. I want to say it's going to be Lost Box.
Okay.
Because it's almost the same thing. You have that. You get to drop the Drapion, throw the Mew EX. And you're gonna get way more utility out of Mew EX than you did Drapion, especially with Mew VMAX kind of hitting the wayside a little bit. So I think Lost Box will probably be like the second or third most played deck if it's if Lugia's colorless is number one. And
right.
I might spill a little bit of sauce here, but I think DTE Mew could be a top 3 or 4, like third or fourth played deck. The Spiritombs have gone away.
That's true.
Drapion's not scary when you play Path in the deck and you're judging and Ionoing. Path Judge once again in this format is going to be super strong.
That's crazy.
I think that like Mew could be a sneaky. I mean, they'll still be the people that play the fusion variant,
right?
And they don't ever split it. So I think Mew could still be a third. Can come back and be like a third or fourth most played deck, simply because I think a lot of people are gonna like focus more on path disruption, especially with Zard being so susceptible to path and judge. Because it does require a lot of combo pieces for that deck.
It does. I definitely see Lugia being like one of, if not the most played deck going into this regional for sure. Whether it's the colorless Lugia or the single strike version, I think colorless Lugia will gain more popularity for sure. And I think it is a great play. I think it's a fantastic play. It has so many possibilities, so many matchups that it's great into. I think that it still takes a really favored Gardevoir matchup. I think the Lost Box matchup is really good because of Snorlax, because they can't Sableye onto it. There are so many things. You can even put the Radiant Charizard in there. You could put a Luxray in there. It really just has all of the extra pieces that you can sprinkle in to just trade favorably like old Lugia used to, where you're just feeding single prizer after single prizer and just, you don't need to take those big knockouts as much anymore, I think, in this format. So I would definitely say that is on my list for most play decks. I think that we will probably see a good mixture of Lost Zone boxes. So that's probably number 2 on my list. And I think that the third that we'll probably see, and this is really good for all those Mew lovers out there, I think we'll probably see a ton of Rapid Strike decks still, because they're going to try to feed on the Lost Zone boxes. I think a lot of people are trying to play it. And they're seeing a little bit more success. Obviously, it's great into Lost Zone Charizard. It's great into, regular Turbo Lost Box, Radzard, or Sablezard, rather. I think that it really takes a decent matchup into Tina, even. So I think that Rapid Strike might see a little bit of an uptick for this tournament. For sure. So that definitely is on my radar. Honorable mention, I would say, is probably Chen Pao. I think a lot more people are looking at that top 8 list from Pittsburgh and then saying, this is pretty fine without a V-Star in it. So maybe that's the way. Maybe that's the play. So, but that's definitely honorable mention. It's up there for me. So we talked about what we're going to see as the most played decks here. But what are your personal top 3 picks, Dre?
So my personal top 3 picks of like just the best, if you're gonna go, I'm always, even though I stopped playing Mew, I'm always going to be a Mew lover. I'm always going to say Mew is like the safe pick. You can know you can take Mew, and especially in an undefined meta such as this one, where we don't know, if is it going to be the popular deck, or is it going to be the one that's been having results, or what have you.
Yeah.
So I think Mew is always like the safe pick. You can hit the right matchups and go all the way.
Right.
So that's one of mine for sure. Lugia, well, whether you go colorless or single strike, like for the same reasons we've already said, like Lugia, it just has the best matchup spread. I feel like personally, its biggest enemy is always itself.
Right.
You got to flip. Hopefully, you either get the good hand or you're flipping the right, cards. Hitting tails on Romas when you need and heads on Goza. you know. And then 3 is definitely Lost Box. It's too powerful. You're hitting a lot of the top decks for their weaknesses. Now you can copy their attacks. I think it's just a really strong play. So Mew, Lost Box, Lugia, any version. All 3 of them have different versions. Any version of the 3, take your pick.
Yeah. I honestly think that for me, personally, I do like Lugia. Like colorless Lugia is like top tier for me going into this tournament. If I was playing, I am staying home. Unfortunately, I'm just gonna go to Sacramento and Toronto in this format. But if I were playing, I'd probably put together colorless Lugia, test out a few games. Honestly, I don't feel like Miraidon's in a bad spot either. I think that it's fast enough, it's aggressive enough. Obviously, Lugia being a really good play, you're also pretty favored. If we switch back to maybe the Path version and not the Beach Court version that Jesse Parker played, I think that that's also a really, really good pick. But as far as what I'm seeing, Judge Path is really good. Obviously, Mew is going to be able to do it. Miraidon could be able to do it too. So that's where like my mindset is for playing Miraidon at this tournament. It could be a really great play.
And I think it's gonna be a game of chicken for a lot of the Lugia players.
Yes.
Like, the colors. Do I play Dunsparce? Do I not?
Yeah.
Is like Miraidon. I play enough single prizers. Do I really worry about Miraidon hitting for weakness? Like
Exactly.
It's gonna be one of those cat and mouse games for that matchup.
Right.
So.
Or you tech in like some choice belts, and now your Snorlax is knocking out the Raikou. Like it's very funny to do that. And then you could just like smack into something with a Charizard to end the game, or you put up your Mew EX and then you boss up their Miraidon, and you're hitting the Miraidon for the exact same damage to knock it out. So I mean, it's definitely a toss up. But chasing down a Lugia is really fun as a Miraidon player for sure. So that could definitely be a play. I think that that's in my brain. And then the other thing, I really do love Tina, and my relationship isn't ended, or it hasn't ended with Tina yet. I have built, if you check out the EU late night with 151, I made what was called Turbo Tina. I did top 32 that, and I honestly stopped thinking about my plays because my kids came home, and I'm like, I can't play Top Cut, so I gotta like, here you go. So as far as that goes, Turbo Tina was really good, but honestly, Turbo Lost Box just seems so good. Like it just seems amazing. Turbo Lost Box has got a lot of tricks. It always has. It's a super fast and aggressive deck. You have the turn 1 donk potential. You have the hitting for weakness. You got the Dragonite, my favorite Pokemon. It's all there. Everything's there. And I think like maybe taking the Drapion out because Mew might see a lower play because Charizard is going up. That hey, maybe, you just pop in a Mew EX in that Drapion spot and just go to town. And that way, now you're trading favorably into those other Lost Zone decks. You're just kind of playing around with the Mew EX. And what's better about Mew EX is that for a Lost Zone box player, it's a Roxanne out, kind of. If you're using some of those cards, you got Roxanne, or if somebody Ionos you to 1, now you got the out with the ability restart. So I think it's really good, and that would be probably my top 3. If I was sleeving up decks, bringing just 3 with me, those would be it. Now, this is my favorite part of these meta forecasts is I want to talk to you about some spicy plays. So
Okay.
I know that there's been some decks kind of circulating out there, making a couple people angry on how they're played. But what is maybe a spicy play you'd really like to see maybe make top cut, make a day two, have a good run in this first tournament with 151 legal?
So I kind of wrote an article about like the new 151 stuff in
Hmm.
Mew. So I want to see Mew do well
Okay.
always.
Okay. Okay.
But I want to see Mew run kind of like almost a control style
Okay.
with the Erica's invitation. You
Hmm.
know, you go against these decks like if you're the Kyogres, the Drapions.
Right.
Let them don't judge. Don't I put up these big hands so you can Erica's and drag that Pokemon out. Lost zone it, run the grabber because if you're gonna be judge pathing anyways, why not, hit judge
Yeah.
path, grabber, send that Pokemon to the bottom of the deck, you know. So I really want to see like I think a more control style Mew, whether it's the DTE version or the fusion. If you can throw in some grabbers, some Erica's invitations, and just be really
Yeah.
annoying,
Oh
I
yeah.
would love to see it. I'd be all for it to be a day two and have a good run.
Just like turn two Erica's, pull that Drapion out of the hand. See you later, Drapion. You're in the lost zone now.
Yeah.
I really appreciate that. Like I think that Mew is really good. I really think that Mew is in a halfway decent spot that people should probably respect it. Um, because I mean, it just won the late night NA, 138. So it's still a good deck. It's aggressive. It's fast. Somebody put catchers in it for crying out loud. Like,
If you guys go back to my Fresno top 16 list, I ran catchers. Catchers
right?
is broken in Fusion
It's
Mew.
so
If I
good.
can sparkle and then gust in the same turn and end the game
Yeah,
on my second turn, I'm doing it.
absolutely. Now you mentioned the C word a lot, and that C word is control. And I've seen quite a bit of people super upset saying that control is back for this tournament. So control is a real thing. And I saw some Pidgeot lists that are control, playing the Snorlax and the
Yes.
Rotom. I saw a couple other weird control lists. And then we have Alakazam EX that people kind of forget that that's a thing where you could throw up a Mimikyu and just sit behind it. You got the Clef Key in there. You sit behind that. So I think that that might be a spicy play going into this tournament. I think maybe if somebody can really craft out a list, put your 5 head helmet on, and sit down and find a really great control list to go into this tournament, I think it can make a solid run for sure.
Oh, Jesus. Sanders not showing up to this event, right?
Oh,
Does
I'm
anybody
sure.
know? If Sanders there, I think we have to worry because
Yeah.
Wool seems like it's got a lot of toys now with Erica's Grabber, Misfortune
Yeah.
Sisters, the
Right.
Snorlax, the yeah. It's just there's so much going on. I saw someone in the late night go 6-1-2 with a control like
Right.
stall. I'm just
Exactly.
like, yo, is this real?
It's pretty insane. Like I love control. I'm a control lover. I will play control if it's solid enough and I understand the pieces. I played Mewtwo control when it was big for Maryland. Unfortunately, I took one loss in the day, and because I tied so much, I didn't make day two, so I was really upset. But Azul made a great run with that. You know, Piper's made a great run. Before that, I played in the days of Cincino Mill control. I loved that deck. I thought it was great. Pidgey control. I mean, it all strikes me where it counts. But if we can see a real control deck come out of this format that people are scared of, I will definitely play that deck. But it can happen. There's enough cards now in the card pool that it can actually just hit it and do its thing. So I'm really excited to see if maybe a control deck, if it is an Alakazam deck, I'll be even happier because I'm OG with that, and I love like I got my Kadabra V Star marker, the last
Nice.
printed Kadabra before this one in 151. That's got the e-reader brick on the side, and I use that like I love the whole Kadabra line. So if we can see maybe that be a deck too, I think that both of those I'd stand up and cheer as I'm watching the Shuffle Squad, lead the pack here, and see if that can make a hot run for it into Top Cut. But I mean, I think that really wraps it up for me. Dre, is there any other decks that you kind of want to touch on a little bit before we close it up here?
I don't know, but I mean, I really, when I saw Alakazam, I really wanted it to be good.
Yeah.
I've been trying to cook stuff up, but I don't have too much time to cook like that.
Yeah.
I wish I could, but I'm all for hopefully seeing an Alakazam have a good run. Because if someone else can do the hard lifting for me and like give me a good list that I can just tweak and refine, then I'm all for it.
Absolutely. Yeah, so I mean, that's our metaphor cast. Hopefully you at home are watching this and maybe you have some better takes. Let us know down in the comments of the video for sure, and we'll be sure to respond to you as well. So that's enough for me. You can always find me here on the Shuffle Squad or on Twitter or anywhere the Shuffle Squad is. Dre, where can the people find you if they want to hear more from you?
Yeah, most definitely. You can also find me on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, King Dre Clout, one instead of the L. I also offer Medify coaching. Just hit the link in the bio if you guys need some last minute prep before Peoria. I do have a little bit of openings left, but yeah, that's probably where you can find me. I try to upload some vlogs. I'm going to try and get some Peoria vlog clips in hopefully next weekend too, so I can be a little bit more consistent on my personal YouTube. But you can always find me on Shuffle Squad's Patreon, articles, deck updates, all that good stuff.
Very cool, very cool. So, as always, we will catch you next time here on the Shuffle Squad.
Hey trainers, tired of having too many cards lying around? I know that feeling, and I know what a hassle it is to try and sell those cards. But selling bulk is now easier than ever with TCG Bulk. Find tons of potential buyers in a single place. You just download the app, look for the best buyer near you, and carefully pack your bulk, ship it, and you get paid. It really is that simple. Turn the cards you don't want into the cards you absolutely need for your next deck. You made it to the end. Thank you so much for watching this entire video from the Shuffle Squad. Honestly, from the bottom of our hearts, we appreciate each and every person that supports our content, watches what we have going on every single day, every single week, even from time to time, and continuously allows us to have a forum to project our creative content towards the Pokemon TCG community. So if you haven't already, be sure to give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and even leave a comment to help boost the YouTube algorithm. That being said, we'll catch you with our next video. Thanks again. Take it easy.